On. Hello guys, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let me get the chat up. Chat. Okay. Got the chat. On. Hello guys, hello everyone. Got my chat up on my phone actually. Okay. So this is a video, a stream, and a video I guess will be made into a video as well. In relation to the last live stream. So hopefully you guys were here for the last one, and thankfully I'm here joined by Ezra again.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, and his YouTube will be in the description of both the videos after this live. If you like what he says, then you can go and check him. So last time we discovered that Allah, he has to have a form, according to who? According to Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. And also, according to the Hadith, because he had to make sense of the Hadith, and also the Quran as well. So today, following up from that, what we're going to do, we're going to show you which form he takes in some authentic narrations, and also what the Muslims will say when you bring these narrations as well. So hopefully we will answer any objections if nobody comes up and talks to us. But the Discord, if anybody is interested in talking and saying how you don't think that Allah has to have a form, as that is the topic today, you can join, and On Air Daily is gonna post it in the comments in the chat at some point. So first of all, we want to turn to Shah Hadith al-Nuzul. This is Ibn Taymiyyah, and of course we're going through the same thing that we went through last time, but we will just go through it again. The premise of the argument is that our Lord descends every night to the lowest heaven when the last third of the night remains. The one who denied it said, how? This is in reference to Sahih al-Bukhari 1145. And this is a hadith where Allah apparently enters his creation. Now, we established last time how Ibn Taymiyyah, then he said that nothing is conceivable existing in the observable realm except as a body, except as a form. So how Allah, he comes down into the existing and observable realm? You know, Allahu Alam. But we will show you exactly why this is problematic. And let me just jump back. So, here in the same book, page 30, it says, then let him accept as reasonable that he is above the throne and that he descends to the lowest heaven while the throne does not empty of him. Now, guys, this is a clear contradiction because, first of all, what's he saying? Ibn Taymiyyah here, he is saying that the throne, Allah, he leaves this throne that he's on here. He leaves and he comes down to the nearest heaven. But at the same time, he is on this throne. He is at the nearest heaven as well. So he doesn't leave. Now, Ezra, do you want to chime in and say what we said last time?
Yeah, the interesting part is if you read in the Quran, Ayat al-Kursi, it mentions that the throne and the footstool, or the kursi, extends over the heavens and the earth. So the throne should in fact be super massive, right? It has to be way, way larger than planet Earth. Now, in order for you to say that Allah moves or descends to the lowest heaven, yet he doesn't leave it, you have to say that the throne itself descends with Allah. So he doesn't leave it, doesn't empty it. But it's a contradiction because the throne cannot descend with Allah onto the the I mean the lowest heaven because it encompasses the lowest heaven. That's like saying I can descend into the cup. That presupposes a lot of things like compression of size, uh, all sorts of things you could think of if you're familiar with physics. It's actually hilarious contradiction.
I mean, I guess we can
So,
actually also say, I mean, according to this photograph, it's similar to this. Because in this photo, you can see that the chair and the image of the chair is actually bigger than this whole universe. So if you think of it like this, guys, Ibn Taymiyyah, he says that Allah does not leave his throne, but he descends. So the only explanation for this is that the throne comes down with him. But the throne, according to the Quran in chapter 2, verse 225, says that the chair, his throne, extends over the heavens and the earth. So look at the photo of the chair. The chair is significantly bigger than the entire earth. So how can Allah come down with the chair? Also, I mean, if the chair extends over the heavens and the earth, I mean, are we saying now that the chair is bigger than Allah? Is Allah not the biggest and greatest thing in the world? Isn't that presupposing that as well? That if the chair has to hold Allah, Allah has to be, I mean, Allah has to
it does
be
seem to say that Allah is as microscopic as the earth relative to the
exactly,
throne that's which it descends from.
exactly. So, I mean, this part is pretty funny, but we missed that yesterday. So today we want to bring back
Yep.
this part because we said maybe the chair can go down with him, but I don't think that a Muslim would say that. And now we realized why the Muslim wouldn't say that, because his chair extends over the heavens and the earth. Is that made clear? So we can finish on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So next, guys, what we have is that Ibn Taymiyyah then concedes that nothing is conceivable as existing in the observable realm as a body. But what body does Allah take on? If we go to this hadith, and this hadith scholar actually is Ibn Taymiyyah. So, authentic according to summary of hadith scholars, ruling here, and the source is here. What does it say? That the Messenger of God, Muhammad, saw his Lord in the form of a beardless young man. With what? With abundant curly hair in a garden, that should say. I think, because it wouldn't make sense if he was abundant with a curly garden. So this should be, he saw his Lord in the form of a beardless young man with abundant curly hair in a garden. Now, automatic rebuttal from any Muslim you bring this to, in the Arabic it also says that he sees this in a dream. But this is not in the hadith actually, this is just in the context. So, the Muslim will say that, Muhammad, he didn't really see his Lord. His Lord, what did he do? He just showed himself as a beardless young man to Muhammad in a dream. Now, you can ask this question back straight away. So did Muhammad see Allah like he says, or is he lying? And if so, if not, did Allah deceive him? Did I put that correctly, Ezra?
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you get that argument, guys? So, if the Muslim says, he didn't see Allah, well, actually, Muhammad, he's claiming he saw him in the form of something, and if then the Muslim says, no, he didn't, Allah must be deceiving Muhammad. and lying to him. So either way, they are trapped. And also, we can get them trapped as well in Sahih Muslim, Bisha and Nawiyah, volume 3, page number 4. We're giving all the references, guys. This is the book here. Now, this is another dilemma because there is only one person who denies this story, and this is the story that all the Muslims will quote to you. They will say, well, Aisha said, if anybody says that Muhammad saw their Lord, they are lying. Okay, that's the quote that they will give to you. Now let's read what actually happened. So, the early generations and later ones differed about whether Muhammad saw his Lord, whether he saw him. Okay? Now, Aisha denies it, as it is reported here in Sahih Muslim. Okay? This is the well-known view of Ibn Masud, and a group of hadith scholars and theologians held this opinion. Held what opinion? It was narrated from Ibn Abbas that he saw him with his own eye. And the same from who? From Abu Dar and Ka'b. From who else? From Al-Hasan. From who else? Ibn Masud and Abu Huraira. Who else? Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Who else? Abu al-Hasan al-Ashari. Do you see, guys? So look at the dilemma that they're going to cause because of the Quran. Aisha says that it didn't happen. Who do you have saying that it did happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 companions say that it happened, and 1 girl says it didn't happen. Now, why do I stress girl? It's very important to know that in the Quran, in chapter 2, verse 282, that a man and a woman's testimony are very different. What happens to a woman's testimony? It is the equivalent to two women's is the equivalent to 1 man's. So when Aisha says something, but 8 men say something else, Quran says her opinion is disregarded. Why? Because she's a woman. Do you see the trap that they put themselves in? So now, we will go to why actually Muhammad, he says that women, they have to have two women for the testimony of 1 man. Why? Because according to Sahih al-Bukhari, women are deficient in intelligence and religion. What is the evidence of women being deficient in intelligence? Is it not that the evidence of 2 women is equal to the witness of 1 man? So women, according to this, are deficient in intelligence, women are stupid, and the reason is because 2 female witnesses are equal to the witness of 1 man. So if we go back here, Aisha, she denies it. Not 2 women, disregarded. Do you see that, guys? So when Muslims, they say, but Aisha, she said, but the Quran says that Aisha's opinion doesn't matter because she's a woman, she's not 2 women. Did that make sense? And Ezra, did that make sense?
No, it's very interesting.
So anyways, guys, back to women are weak witnesses. Exactly. I mean, so Muslims, they will say women are weak witnesses until they need Aisha to deny that Allah is in the form of a young man with curly hair and no beard. I mean, isn't it sunnah to have a beard as well? Why does Allah not have a beard here? Is he not taking on the example of Muhammad, the best example of mankind.
Doesn't seem like he's being consistent with his own Sharia, I guess.
Exactly. So look, what we've gone through in the beginning. Ibn Taymiyyah, he says that the Lord descends. Ibn Taymiyyah, he says nothing in the observable universe can exist except with a body. Ibn Taymiyyah, he messes up and says that Allah's within the chair while descending and not in the chair, but in the chair, but not in the chair. And then Aisha, he says that Muhammad didn't see her, but 8 of the Sahabi, 8 of the companions say that he did see Allah, and Aisha's opinion gets disregarded by Allah himself without his beard. So that's what we've gone through so far, and now I guess we can start.
Well, actually, before we start this one, I want to go back to where it talks about Allah revealing himself in the form, because it's actually very important, and it has something to do with the fact that that Islam, to an extent, confirms Trinitarian theology of the Logos, or Jesus as the hypostasis.
Which page did you want to go to?
Let's go to the second one, I think.
This one?
The next one. Next one. Was it the next one?
Is it this one? No. This one?
No, it's the one with like revealed in the dream. The one you showed.
Oh, this one?
Or is it? Yeah. So I want to talk about this. As my friend Prince of Welsh said, if they treat this something that Muhammad saw, that he actually saw God, he would see a form of a man, then by extension, you would have to claim that Allah is lying if you're denying it. But if you're affirming it, and Allah actually manifested as a beardless young man in a dream, then you actually have to say something interesting here. That in order for God, so God cannot manifest. So, okay, take a look at it like this. God cannot manifest as something that would be misaligned with his nature, right? You would agree with this also. God wouldn't manifest as some sort of like a rock or something like that, because that doesn't represent what God is, right? That would be some sort of lying. So if Allah is not deceiving anybody, yet he is manifesting as a man, then to an extension you have to say that there's something about the divine essence that would allow Allah to manifest as a human form. Now, what is that? Well, if you are familiar with Christian theology, how can God manifest as in a human form? He can take on a human nature, like the Logos. It says in the book of John that the Logos takes on a human form, incarnated. But what would allow such incarnation? Well, that would be the hypostatic union, or the hypostasis of Jesus. Now, if you were to say that, how should I put this? So they have to actually say that Allah has to have some sort of hypostatic capability, or have this hypostasis in the divine essence that would allow God to honestly manifest as a human without deceiving anybody. Because in Christian theology, as we know, God can manifest as a human being without lying to us, like, oh, he can't actually be a man, for instance. Why can he do that honestly? Is because he has the hypostasis, which allows him to be so, right? So in fact, Muslims have to concede the hypostatic union and incarnation for Allah to be possible. That means Allah can manifest as a human being. He cannot deceive. No, all right? Because Allah is regarded as Al-Haq. So he cannot deceive people. So whatever so if he manifests as a human being, then he can. And how can he? Because there is a hypostasis, which would be something similar to the Logos. It's mentioned in John and Christian theology. What do you think of that, was
Perfect.
your comments?
Very, very good. I thought it was beautifully put with the rock as well. Like, he cannot lie and he cannot be something that he couldn't be within the form. I mean, like, Muslims, maybe they would say something like the toilet, like God couldn't manifest in the form of a toilet or something like that, because they're obsessed with things like toilet and sex and stuff. So, I mean, I guess you could put it like that to them. I mean, could God manifest himself as a toilet? And if they say no, then you could say, well, how come then God can come in the form as a beardless young man? But I mean,
Yeah, I
that's like
mean,
the
you
same way
need
you
to
said.
have some sort of thing in the divine essence in order for you to do that.
Yeah.
So it seems like the Christian Trinitarian theology is confirmed in Islamic Hadith. Wow, interesting.
Exactly. And also, though, I mean, I don't want to get onto it now too much, but I mean, this goes, if we're talking about the Trinity within Islam, in Sahih Muslim, there's a hadith that says that if you recite the Quran on the day of resurrection, it will come as an intercessor for those who recite it. Why is this problem? Because the Quran is considered as the eternal, uncreated speech of Allah. Why is that a problem? Well, as our friend said before in the book of Kufr and Shirk against Ibn Taymiyyah, he said that you can't have two eternal beings in the beginning with Allah. Like this would say here. Let me pull it up for you. Like it says here, on the day of resurrection, it will come as an intercessor. So the eternal speech of Allah somehow now has a mind of its own and can actually argue against the decision of Allah, because if I bring another verse, it says that not only does the Quran do this, but also the pages of the Quran do it as well. So if I pull this, it says that there is a surah in the Quran which contains 30 ayah which will keep interceding for a man until his sins are forgiven. So this will plead for you until your sins are forgiven. And I mean, unless Allah, the only thing that you could say is, Allah's mind somehow wants to argue with himself to plead for you, but this doesn't really make sense. So, I mean, yeah, that was just a small thing. I did a video on that.
I guess
before.
that sounds like the speech of God can take on natures, like a book
Exactly.
nature.
But
Quite interesting.
not only
Seems they also believe in the hypostatic union. So they have a
Yeah.
problem with Christianity.
Yeah, exactly. And not only this, they have more than just a Trinity, because not only are the speech of Allah, which would be the Quran itself, which it says, but then the internal parts of the speech of Allah, which would be like the internal pages of the Quran, because it says that there are surahs in the Quran, there are two surahs, which will then, those parts of his speech will intercede for mankind. So his speech now, his eternal speech, somehow now has a form of which parts of that form can intercede for you as well, which, I mean, is problematic, right?
Very much so.
Do you want to move on to this now?
Yeah, we can move on. So there's a thing in the Quran that I myself have found very interesting, and how Muslims actually miss this a lot, is how the verses in, I believe it's Surah Al-Fasilat, right? That's what the surah is.
41.
It talks about, so if we read from the verse above, it says, He placed on the earth firm mountains, standing, showered in his blessings upon it, and ordained all its means of sustenance, totaling 4 days exactly, for all who ask. And then it says, then he turned towards the heaven when it was still like smoke. So what I want to say about this is, from the basic reading of the text, as a lot of Ibn Taymiyyah followers, a lot of these Sunnis say, it sounds a lot like God has some sort of rotational motion. So it sounds like God, well, in order for you to face something or to turn towards something, you must have some sort of dimensions. For instance, like the face of a triangle must turn to a specific direction to face the object, right? So here it sounds a lot like Allah is an object in space that is rotating towards the smoke, and then he is, as it would later, although the later the chapter would say, he formed the heavens. So there's also, well, technically, there's a couple of Muslim groups, such as like the Ash'ira and the Maturidiyya, that will say that it's a metaphor. No, we cannot say that God has dimensions and he has some sort of internal thermodynamic combustion which would allow him to turn in space towards something. No. He must be eternal. He doesn't have a place, so he doesn't have dimensions. So they would possibly interpret this verse as he specified towards the heavens and the earth. But even this, like, I mean, it doesn't sound like metaphorization. It sounds like reinstating the same statement. But you cannot possibly say that this refers to some sort of eternal point of view, that God is eternal, because it clearly mentions the word when. When is obviously a word in regards to temporality. So for instance, when I say, I turned towards the table when the table was in front of me,
Yep.
right? That it does imply some sort of temporality. That's what we use as human beings. So it sounds a lot here like God is literally rotating, guys. It's like a sphere, maybe. I don't know, an asteroid, a celestial body. Sounds a lot like it. Would you say, Prince Abbas?
Yeah, and also we mentioned this as well. This is not the only part in the Quran that says this, because in chapter 2, verse number 29, we went through it yesterday, but Al-Tabari, he says the same thing, right? And he doesn't seem like it's turning as... I mean, he does a lot of turning for God, but he seems to make it clear that God, he turns to it.
No.
So he's fashioning it to 7 after he turned to it. And after, I mean, it implies he's doing something within time, space, and matter as well, right?
Sounds like it. I actually interacted with an Ashari on a statement, and he told me it refers from our perspective. But I don't know how that's even like a that sounds like an ad hoc explanation. Because how can, from our perspective, we even see God or God turning, but then God doesn't actually turn? So then the Quran is probably lying,
And
right? All of this stuff.
if he says that it's from our perspective, the Quran is meant to be the eternal word of God, and that would make, for the Quran to make sense, it would mean that Allah is dependent on creation existing and reading it.
Oh, interesting.
Does that cook? I mean, to me
It
that
does.
So if somebody was
And I also want to emphasize, go back on the verse again.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize something else also. They would try to frame it as, how do I say it? Like he shifted his focus. But even like the language that I'm using, as you can tell, shifting focus implies as if God is not omniscient and eternal once again. Because if we're saying, like from the classical perspective what God is, that he is omnipresent, omniscient, eternal, immutable, he needs to have his attention on all things throughout all time. So there's no some sort of shifting his attention from one object to another. God is present to all objects, and God knows all objects eternally, not in sequence, not some sort of shift of focus. It's eternally known and eternally focused. Right? I think Walsh would agree with me on this,
Yeah.
definitely. But it sounds like the Quran is saying that God is an object in space that rotates. And another thing, an object that rotates itself must be something like, for instance, I have a soul and I have a body. My soul acts upon my body to, for instance, move my arm. So here they would have to say that God has some sort of where, like, God is like the soul like thing and he resides within a larger body and he could rotate it. So he could shift focus of the body, like the surface from where he would see, and he would shift it towards an object.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds a lot like a created idol, a creature, than the ultimate omnipresent God.
Yeah, and you can
Mm.
get into that as well, like with how Allah is described throughout Hadith and Quran itself, with his different, anthropomorphic features, with his hands, with his shin, everything. So
They do say that, especially the athletes do say that the two hands and some of these anthropomorphic attributes are essential to what he is.
well, I
Mm.
mean,
How
also
interesting.
some people they say that like his attributes, like his feet, his foot, or his shin, aren't real. But to me, it doesn't make sense because he literally says that he will like raise his shin up and everyone will worship it, and he will put his foot into hellfire to close it. Sometimes I saw Korah. She said, "Well, my God, he is not everywhere because he's not in hell." But her God, he is actually in hell because his foot is in hell, and I mean, I guess that would be a part of him, which is another problem, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're saying that God's foot is in hell, but he's not in hell, there's definitely some sort of division of parts going on.
But then you have to completely disregard that hadith. I'm guessing that's what she does. She just says that
But
it's
I do
some
think
kind of
that, yeah,
metaphor.
but I do think that this is actually like the most lethal argument because the Quran clearly says that God is turning. It clearly mentions when, which implies being temporal. It
Yeah,
clearly mentions that God is this temporal thing in the sky that moves. Well, even the hadiths confirm it as we went over them.
yeah.
So,
Sh- should I switch to this?
and this is simply the confirmation that I did, just in case, like any sort of giving like the shadow of the doubt. If I suppose said that the istawa or like the turning would be eternal, some sort of like mean like a timeless decree, it wouldn't make any sense because like the ilah in Arabic, or like to be toward an object, is spatial. It's always used in a spatial sense. It wouldn't make any sense to say that God eternally, like, how do I say, eternally when during the time of or something like that. Doesn't make any sense. It's just making a contradiction. Is your God in time or is he not in time? That's not gonna work. But that's for like Asharis and Maturidis. The Salafiyya or the Athariya, they have to take the text literally. That God literally turned towards the heavens. Well, I guess he did rotate, huh? Interesting.
Yeah. And this word ilah, I mean, you use it about yourself. Like, I mean, in context, like I want to go to the shop, you're going to something, right? Like in
Yeah.
Arabic, you can say "Ana بدي أروح إلى المحل." I want to go to the shop. You're going to something, towards something. So if you're giving like this word, I mean, exactly as you said, I mean, you're making him temporal, right?
Yep. because it clearly says when it was like smoke. So the word when obviously implies time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't think Muslims can escape this one. Do
no,
you
I
think?
don't. I don't think so either. But I mean, I think that today and
I tried to
yesterday.
imagine what sort of metaphor could this even mean, but I don't think it works. It's too like specific. Like it mentions like he, the subject, turned. Turn is an intrinsic rotation, which means motion, and then it mentions when, which is like a temporal sequence, and the context is about like the heaven and the earth being created. So it's within like the 6 days of creation. It's very problematic, as you can see. I
I
don't
mean,
think it's possible.
I guess all that they would do is they would turn around and say the Trinity, right? Like that's all that they would do because they can't like anything any argument they bring up to them, they just start going and attacking other people's beliefs. I feel like that's the normal thing. They just kind of run and jump and hide and more running,
Mm,
and they can't really address this problem because this would destroy them. I
yeah,
think
definitely.
even yesterday's stream destroys Ibn Taymiyyah at least.
Oh yeah, the act of creation, existing within God's essence, being necessary.
Having
Thus, every
parts of God.
creature is necessary. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and as the baker would say, that Ibn Taymiyyah, he's a big what's the word, like authority for him in Islam. So I mean, we
But
don't
I
have.
will recommend people to use this argument that I mentioned at the most bottom slide. Yeah, especially this one. I think people should definitely look at this more because this is like, I think from my perspective, this is like a major hit, like very major.
Yeah.
Because if the Quran itself says that God is this object that rotates in space, I don't think any sort of theology or possible jargon could save you here.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good one.
definitely.
I doubt. I don't think we. I don't know. Maybe we didn't do it at a good time. I feel like we didn't get. Maybe we can. I mean, I doubt any Muslims are here, right? Is Boatfire a Muslim? I don't think so.
We have it at a 43-minute mark
Yeah,
so
that's
far.
good for the. We can. That's good for a video, but uh,
Is there anyone who
was
wishes to on
this
the stage
was
to
this a
come up
question?
and maybe?
Or no? Did you answer that?
Hmm?
Yeah, we answered that, right? He said that it could be used as a metaphor, but we said like how the word ilah would be more real, and like the language that's being used is this is exactly what he did.
It's too hyper specific for it to even be a metaphor. I don't see how this could be a metaphor possibly.
And like you said, I mean, one way to get out, I guess, from the Muslim perspective would be to say, well, it makes sense from our perspective, but then we've already covered that argument. Like the Quran is the, and
Right, but then that means that the Quran isn't saying that God is actually turning or anything. That's
yeah,
just, so only from our perspective is turning. But then it sounds like it's an illusion, which is also a problem. You wouldn't say that God is deceiving people either. So
exactly. Well built properly. Yeah.
a world built properly. Well, it seems that their God is not the God of the Torah, which is clearly regarded as omnipresent and omniscient. We don't have this stuff where God rotates to create. Clearly mentions in Genesis how God creates everything without turning or anything. Interesting.
Um, I doubt we're gonna have anyone now, so I guess we can close and I'll edit that up.
Maybe someone has a question on this.
Any questions? Was anything not clear? Because I guess we could put that. That'd be good for the video as well. If there's any
Mm.
any questions that weren't quite clear, maybe we could put in.
I still find it funny how this is like the hidden in their texts
Clear? You
and
mean the
people didn't
Quran?
see it. You have to
It's not
scan
too
it
clear.
through and through.
I mean, if the Quran was clear, you wouldn't need so many hadith and tafsir. I mean, the Quran is the least clear book I think I've ever read.
Yeah, I don't know if 4111 is pretty clear.
No.
Not very clear.
I mean, there's probably 10 million billion explanations, right? Like, they're gonna run and jump and hide, but if you actually talk to them, like on here, I guess they wouldn't be able to defend this.
Hmm.
We meant, was the arguments clear? Boat fire.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I mean, like we said, I mean, I guess the only thing they could say.
They wouldn't counter it, so
No.
I would assume they try to use a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do try to do it, you should always tell them what it signifies to.
Mm-hmm.
So when I interacted with some of the non-Salafi Muslims, like the Asharis or Maturidis,
Mm-hmm.
they would say that it's something to do with like shifting focus. But even like when I'm saying it, as I said, even when I'm saying like shifting focus, it sounds like a negation of eternality and omniscience, even from like bare words.
What
Just
do you
use
mean?
interpretation instead of other
Yeah,
Quran verse.
exactly.
They would try to. I'm not sure what they would say. I know the Atharis, the Muslims would take it literally. Would have to concede that God is a celestial object in space. But
Here's an interpretation, yeah.
the
Thank you, Lisa.
PDF, I'm not sure if there is.
What's the PDF is about? My PDF? This PDF?
Oh,
You mean the one on the screen?
oh, it's about Allah taking on a form.
Yeah,
So can Allah be a human being, basically?
basically Allah is seen as a form. I